You're listening to Travel Nursing and Allied Life, hosted by TravCon.
Welcome to the Exhibitor Minute of the Travel Nursing and Allied Life podcast hosted by TravCon. And with me today is one of our platinum sponsors for the conference, Core MedStaff. And with me is Therese Nery, who is the President of Core MedStaff and one of the co-founders from the company. Therese, thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, I'm glad to be here today.
Now, tell us a little bit. I had a little look up and I noticed that you own this company with your sister. Is that correct?
That's right. It's a family-owned business, and that's a lot of fun, let me tell you.
That is fantastic. Now, growing up with a sister, you're bound to have, fights and good things, but to then carry on through your adult life and manage a business together with your sister, that's got to be incredibly challenging. How does that work?
Well, I'll tell you this. Neither of us will admit who is younger or older, first of all. But the great thing with working with my partner and sister is we have total trust and respect for one another. And as we all know, children like to differentiate themselves from the very, very start. So we actually have very different personalities. She's got a lot of strengths, and where her weaknesses lie is where my strengths come forward. So it's really a good synergy between both of us because from a skill and experience level, we've got great synergies and we just can work very, very well together as leaders to make a great culture for the company.
Well, that's fantastic because it sounds like you're the perfect team and you've been doing it for almost 18 years now. So you've definitely found success in that. That's fantastic.
Definitely. I've grown up in nurse staffing, specifically in LA for nurse staffing. So it's been quite a ride. It's nice to develop an expertise in something that I'm actually also passionate about. So it's very nice.
That's great. Now, moving on to Core MedStaff, you are based in the heart of Los Angeles. You live and breathe that city every day, and you've really become experts of LA. Tell us a little bit about how you decided to come to the whole expert of one city.
Well, first of all, this started obviously on a local level to service LA hospitals. And there have definitely been opportunities. There's definitely a market out there, and there's definitely a trend to expand regionally or nationally. And I think my partner and I really decided that if we wanted to have this company, the one thing that was really, really important to us was impact. And so we decided we wanted to have the greatest impact for our clients, but also the greatest impact on our nurse experiences. So by focusing just on the LA market and the LA hospitals, something that we're both born and raised in LA, we would really be able to best service both of our clients, our nurses, and our hospitals. So we've really developed an expertise in terms of, who are the different hospitals out there? What do they need? What are the resources like? What are the best types of nurses to send there so that we can best guide our nurses for their experience?
That's perfect. It's basically you're the master of your own domain because you probably know each and every hospital that you staff very, very well.
That's right. And, we always say local means something, it's kind of, when you travel to say Rome, right? When you want to go out and have dinner, you want to go where the locals go. Mm-hmm. It really, really says something. And I think, that's kind of what our company is we provide RN staffing to hospitals only and the greater LA area only. One of the things that I know might not be as relevant to the nurses here is to know that Core MedStaff not only does travel nursing in LA, but we also do per diem registry staffing. A big base of our RN staff are actually local nurses. So we get to learn a lot from them as well that we can share with our travelers.
So that's good. If somebody was doing an assignment already in LA and wanted to pick up, say, one extra shift per week, you could accommodate that. And same if they were a staff nurse, they could also just pick up some local shifts.
That's right. And that's one of the great things we offer all of our nurses is as their needs for work change, because sometimes they don't want to work 3 shifts a week. they want to work one or two. Sometimes they don't want to follow a schedule. They want to pick their own schedule. Sometimes they don't want to work weekends. So they can go from completing a 13-week assignment and say, hey, I'd like to take the next, 2 months off and work per diem registry and just, and we can find them work. They'll get the same level of service, the same income, but a little bit of a different experience.
That flexibility is huge. I know when
Yes.
I wanted to do an assignment specifically in Denver, Colorado, and the company I was with didn't have any positions for that city. So I ended up going with a local company, and I did per diem, and I hopped around from hospital to hospital. Not only was it a great way to shop around and see 5 different hospitals and what they were like, but I also got to do the destination I wanted to do on my own terms, and I loved that.
That's right. That's right. It's all about freedom, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
What you want, where you want, and however you want. And so by providing our nurses with these options, they really can flip back and forth at their leisure.
Now, I also noticed on your website, you offer travel, you offer per diem assignments. And then I was very curious to see you offer custom assignments. What is a custom assignment? I've never heard of that.
So custom assignments, it's more, they don't fit the typical kind of assignment that a nurse is used to, right? So we've had orders for nurse auditors where all they do is they round all day and audit patient files and provide education, restraints, or patient care plans. We've had assignments for just admit nurses. You don't get assigned specific patients. All you do is you go and admit patients for nurses, and everyone loves you because you're doing them a big favor. We've had orders for just nurse assessment, like travelers for nurse assessments. You round and you just do periodic nurse assessments. So it's really just kind of like understanding that there are other opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
When you're a bedside nurse, you do the same thing every day, day after day, and it's hard work. It's nice to do something out of the ordinary that is still within your skill set, but just a little change.
Absolutely. There are so many nurses that want that change, even if it is just for a few months, to be able to have something that sort of gives you a different aspect of your own job is fantastic. Good to know.
That's right. Yeah.
Now, with you knowing Los Angeles hospitals and Los Angeles area, you go all the way up as far as Ventura, I saw. I've done an assignment in Ventura as well. Do you also provide housing if the traveler needs it?
We do provide housing, but to be honest, a lot of our travelers really find their own housing. They're very resourceful. They've been doing this a long time, and I think they've kind of figured out that they can maximize their comp by finding their own housing. A lot of times, when you go with corporate housing, it can be more expensive and eat away a bit at that comp package, but we can accommodate a nurse regardless of what she wants.
Perfect. That's really good to know.
Yes.
Now, 2 years ago, you were at TravCon and you brought Thunder Down Under boys.
Oh my gosh, you remember
TravCon. I totally remember that. And they were created quite a stir every time, and you were positioned right at the entrance. So I kept walking past these very well-defined gentlemen that were there doing different poses for people. It was fantastic. Are you bringing Thunder Down Under back this year, or do you have something else in mind for your TravCon attraction?
We definitely have something else in mind, but that Manpower Thunder from Down Under is a hard one to beat. I don't know if it should come out so strongly for our first. It's hard to beat that.
It is hard.
So we've got something different planned in terms of an attraction or a draw to our booth. What we do have planned, though, is a fantastic raffle prize for anyone who just comes by our booth and gives us a little bit of TLC during the conference. Can I share it here?
Absolutely. We'd love to hear it.
So we are raffling. So this is important to know about Core MedStaff. We're very, very proud of the city that we service. We love Los Angeles, and we really want to share as much of this love with our travelers who come to LA to work with us. We go out of our way to provide them with local experiences at concerts, theater, ballet, all kinds of just as a giveaway. Just be like, enjoy the city. We go out and we meet them because we're local. We get to meet them face to face. But one of the things that we're doing, so for TravCon, our raffle prizes, I don't know if everyone knows, but Superbowl is going to be in Los Angeles this year, as it should be, because it's a fantastic city. And we are going to be raffling 2 VIP tickets to this year's Super Bowl.
No way!
Yes. It's not just going to be the tickets, which is awesome in and of itself. It's going to be in an awesome VIP arena where you get bottle service and everything. You're going to have access to all of the parties, the after parties, the events. And it's really just our way of saying hey, if you're going to travel, you might as well go somewhere where you can really enjoy it and learn about it.
Absolutely.
You can immerse yourself in the city. So Super Bowl in LA, 2 lucky nurses are going to be able to go to it. Just come by our booth and give us some love.
That is fantastic. What a great giveaway. And that's happening in spring, and it's going to light up your city.
That's
what
right.
an exciting giveaway. Thank you for sharing that here. I think it's a little bit, you kept it under wraps for quite a while. I knew it was a possibility. I wasn't sure if it was for sure. So that's really exciting to know.
Definitely, definitely.
Now, going back to what types of, we always like to find out what's happening with the job market, and it changes month to month. So sometimes I'd like to find out what's happening in the LA area in terms of specialties and positions and things like that. Can you give us a bit of an insight?
So Los Angeles, as every city is in dire need of nurses. And that's just the fact. In Los Angeles, we have a multitude of hospitals. We're a little different from other cities because in a lot of cities, there are requirements for the distance between hospitals. In order for a hospital to open up, they have to, have a certain distance. Here, you can literally have 3 hospitals within a 1-mile radius.
Wow.
So what that means is we've got a lot of available beds. We have a large population. And so we've got a lot of patients and a lot of needs for nurses generally. Right now, and we all know that we've been in an upward tick since COVID.
Yeah.
And it seems unsustainable, but we're sustaining it, which is amazing. Right now, we had a slow period for a couple of months as COVID died down, and then it just surged again. The interesting thing about the surge that's happening in Los Angeles right now, though, is it's not really COVID. There's some COVID. There are some hospitals that are starting to reopen their COVID units. But the majority of patients that are coming into these hospitals and filling these beds and upping that census are acute illnesses. These are poor patients who over the last 2 years, because the hospitals were flooded with patients, were unable to get basic care needs met. So you can imagine a patient who should have been told 2 years ago that we need to start you on dialysis. Well, they're coming in with, multi-system failure at this stage.
Wow.
So all of the hospitals are experiencing census simply because of acute illnesses. So you get a lot of needs for ICU and tele. Hospitals are starting to open up the COVID units. So of course that impacts tele and ICU. Hospitals in the last couple of months have started to reopen up their surgeries as well. So that's impacted OR and PACU.
Well, that's good. That means there's going to be more OR positions popping up because they've struggled with closures and whatnot, right?
They have. OR nurses have really had, the good thing about nursing is we're flexible. So hospitals have been able to find ways to keep OR nurses still contributing to keeping patients healthy in other units. But yeah, OR nurses finally get back to doing what they love, which is OR.
Yeah. And there has been a surge in other parts of the country for pediatric admissions, mostly due to RSV. Yes. There's COVID, but there's a big RSV resurgence. Have you seen an increase in your pediatric hospitalizations in LA?
Not really. And I'll tell you why. We personally haven't seen it, or I'm sure a lot of haven't. So in LA, a lot of hospitals used to have their separate pediatric wards. And that started to kind of go away about a decade ago. So a lot of hospitals closed their pediatric wards, and pediatrics beds can really just be found in the large pediatric children's hospital. So yeah, specific hospitals, but very few hospitals are getting hit with that. It's pretty centralized.
Okay, well, that's good to know. And you could also be delayed being more outdoors where you are, and California's been a little bit better with wearing masks indoors. It could just be a delay too.
It could be. Everything hits us eventually. I mean, we're like one country. One person sneezes on the other person gets it on the other side. East Coast, West Coast.
So true.
Yeah.
That's good to know. Do you also have quite a flux on the winter for nurses like Phoenix and Florida and Arizona does?
Yeah. You mean our winter orders coming in, or do we get peaks for that? Yes. So that's the other thing that has made the LA market even more competitive is our hospitals are struggling to meet their current needs for nurses, and they've already put all their winter orders out. So they're projecting for flu season and for the surge that just naturally happens every winter, which is just exacerbating the situation. The other thing that is unique to California is, remember, we have nurse to patient ratios, which is a pro. It's a great draw for nurses. Nurses know that when they come here, this state administration, hospital, everyone respects that a nurse can only do so much. But you take that in California, effective October 1, you must be vaccinated for COVID in order to work in a hospital.
Okay.
So we're going to see
good to know.
a huge exodus. We're going to see a big exodus because some nurses don't want to get vaccinated. And so they're going to have to leave the bedside, which means we're going to have to bring more of these folks from Las Vegas conference out.
That's really going to create quite a demand. So I guess the message is, if you're vaccinated and you like to work in a hospital in any way, shape, or form, there is a job for you in LA.
That's right. And Core MedStaff is really the company to go with because we get exclusive access. There's a lot of systems that we work with where we have exclusive access to their orders. So if you want to work for them, you really kind of have to go through Core MedStaff.
Right.
But also, we're not going to match a nurse to a hospital just to match them. So these hospitals here, because we're local, we've walked the halls here. We really know, we know what they look like. We know where the lobby entrance is. We know their patient population. We know what their ER is like, so it's really, we don't just want to match nurses. We want to give nurses an environment and an assignment they're going to love because we want them to stay. We want them to be here for 6, 9, 12 months. That's not just one assignment.
Fantastic. That's good to know.
Yeah.
I want to do a little plug to say thank you. You are proud supporters of both our post-conference brunch and our TravCon after party at Dre.
That's right.
Thank you so much for supporting those events. We look forward to seeing you at TravCon at both of those events. And then travelers can come and find you and meet you in the exhibit hall of TravCon.
Yes, we're going to have plenty of people there that are going to be super excited to talk to our travelers. I mean, even if there are travelers that aren't interested in coming to Los Angeles, we'd love to meet them because the more we talk to travelers in the market, the more we learn. And so the better we can service the travelers we are able to bring on board.
I love that. I love that idea. That is great. The more you learn how to best meet the needs. So that's fantastic.
That's right.
Therese, thank you so much for taking the time out to do this. I encourage everyone who is considering Los Angeles that Core MedStaff is the one to head over to and check them out. Therese, what is your website?
It's www.core.la.
Perfect. And we'll have that also in the notes down below if you want to check them out. You can also find them on the conference app of TravCon, and you can find them on our website at www.travcon.org on the exhibitors page. You can find them everywhere. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks for listening to Travel Nursing and Allied Life. You can find the full show notes below or at travcon.org. Please help us out by rating our podcast on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts.